There seems to be a logjam at D tackle. Do you guys see any movement with guys moving from tackle to end or guys leaving for the portal? So before we get to that question, that was certainly a topic that Paul was going to address in regards to Miami's main two D tackles coming back here in 2021.
This is huge, okay? Jonathan Ford coming back another year for defensive tackle. I think that would be kind of roughly his fifth year in college football, I want to say, because this was his fourth, give or take. We're also getting Nesta Silvera back as well. Those are two guys who will be getting a lot of playing time moving forward next year. Jared Harrison Hunt, remember that name, okay? Young defensive tackle. He was a high school basketball player, under the radar recruit coming out of New York. This was a steal that Jess Simpson landed. He recruited Jared Harrison Hunt. Okay, watch out for his development. Another name at defensive tackle, Leonard Taylor, 5-star recruit. Mark, this kid is going to be a star at the next level out of Miami Palmetto Senior High School. I'm telling you, we're building depth at defensive tackle we did not have previously, and this is going to be solid depth we're going to develop this year. Jess Simpson, he specializes with defensive tackle. You're going to see this position group really thrive next year. I strongly believe that. And regarding the transfer portal players, I don't like assuming people are leaving to the transfer portal. I could possibly name someone. I just don't like to bring that up. I don't think it's fair to the player.
Jonathan Ford, this would be his fifth season coming up. His first year with 2017. So he's got 46 tackles in his career. His most productive season was that 2018, check that, 2019 season, 3.5 tackles for loss, 3 sacks. He's got, those are his 3 career sacks. So Raymond's concerned about too much at D tackle. I don't know that you can have too many D tackles, but you can certainly have a shortage of D ends. And of course, Quincy Roche and Jalen Phillips are out the door.
Yes. So defensive end, like I previously mentioned, DeAndre Johnson, I don't think he gets a lot of the attention he deservedly needs. This kid is going to be a star next year. I'm telling you, he's going to have a breakout season. The experience he had at the SEC, playing at Tennessee, getting 4.5 sacks this season, which finished 9th. Those are great stats. He's a hybrid of an outside linebacker. He came in as an outside linebacker. They moved him to defensive end. He's going to be a great edge rusher in the ACC Coastal level. He should easily dominate. I'll even put out a prediction. I think he'll get 7 to 9 sacks next season. That's how confident I am in his ability. Last but not least, Javari Harvey. Okay, physically, Mark, he's one of, physical measurements. He's one of the strongest defensive ends in the ACC in general. One of the best athletes out there. He is a sleeping giant. Remember that name as well. Javari, those are probably going to be our 2 starters at defensive end. Now, here's some news. I strongly believe Zach Macleod will return, and potentially they will put him at defensive end. I strongly believe that. And I thought he didn't do a bad job against Oklahoma State. He has a motor. I think he can get to the quarterback and can provide depth at that position, which is what we need. But at the same time, I understand if people are upset with Zach Macleod returning, but I believe he will be coming back next year at defensive end.
Are they going to be so short at defensive end that they really need him to play meaningful minutes?
They need depth. They have a lot of underclassmen who haven't gotten a lot of snaps. Cam Williams is a player to look out for at defensive end as well, but he really hasn't gotten a lot of playing time at Miami. So you're really going to be kind of limited per se with the lack of depth, and I think they just want a veteran presence there. Who's had meaningful snaps at the college football level instead of relying on developing a true underclassmen such as Cam Williams. But watch out for some players to be moving around as well.
A couple comments coming in concerning Baker. This was mentioned to me by several people the other night as well. Brian Hidalgo on the live chat is saying some people were saying that they didn't fire Baker because of the money situation. Basically, they didn't want to buy out the contract. Is that true? I certainly don't have any knowledge of that one way or the other, but it's a cheap way to get out of it if you don't have to pay him off and Manny just calls the defense.
So, Mark, here's the thing at the University of Miami, and this was from an interview I just heard from Peter Rees on Stadium Drive podcast, former University of Miami alumni, NFL agent, MMA agent, part of First Round Management. It's a ladder at the University of Miami. Okay, you got the board of trustees, you got Blake James. Blake James is at the top of that ladder. Board of trustees, there are members of the board of trustees who want to get things done, who want to invest a lot of money in the football program and are willing to take care of those finances per se. Now, does that idea get up the ladder? For example, last year, and this was stated by Peter Rees, the Stadium Drive podcast interview. There were board of trustees members, not just a few specific ones, that wanted to work out the details, get a lawyer to buy out Mario Cristobal's contract per se from Oregon, and just they'll throw down the money to get the buyout ready and get Miami going. That was an idea, to land Mario Cristobal from Oregon to Miami. But does that go up the ladder? No, it does not. It will not get through Blake James before it goes up that ladder. That idea will cancel out. Not everyone agrees with that idea. Fairly so. I mean, Manny Diaz firing a coach after 1 year. I mean, that's a very ballsy decision, you know? So if Miami wants to buy out a coach's contract, we saw the same situation with Dan Enos. If Miami wants to fire someone, they can. They literally outbid Georgia to land Dan Enos. Okay, I think he was like a 3-year contract. Could be wrong on that matter, but they had to buy out his contract to get rid of him. If Miami wanted to get rid of Blake Baker, Manny Diaz specifically, they could have easily. If let's say it's $150K his contract, that's not a lot of money, Mark. That's not a lot of money at all. In the college football, I mean, as a salary, you know, average Joe, yeah, of course that is. But in the college football world, $150K, Mark, that's nothing. So I'm not buying that they didn't want to buy out Blake Baker's contract. Guys, Manny Diaz and Blake James came together and they both agreed. Blake Baker will remain as defensive coordinator, hold that title, and Manny Diaz will call plays moving forward. Now he's still involved with the game plan. He's still involved with the defense. Holds the defensive coordinator title. He just will not be calling plays on game day. So at the end of the day, Manny Diaz vouched for his buddy. So did Blake James. He vouched for that decision as well. And Manny Diaz will be betting on himself. But I'm not buying that whole buyout idea.
Ronan, I will say one thing. Blake and Padkey have 1 year left on their contracts. As far as I know, the university saves itself the buyout if they don't renew the contracts next offseason. And that's one of the reasons what Paul just explained is why you don't hear about major college football programs having to buy out coordinator contracts or that being any kind of an issue. They just fire them.
Right.
That's brought up when a university has to pay $15 to $20 million to buy out a head coach's contract who's making $4, $5, $6 million a year, like Auburn. They put up $21 million to get Gus Malzahn off campus and brought in, of course, Brian Harsin from Boise State. So that's a major decision that schools have to make. Sometimes they'll rework it, just like Michigan did with Jim Harbaugh, because he was going to make a whole lot of money, even though he had only 1 year left on an $8 million per year contract. They, of course, renegotiated and set a new contract, but you never hear about on the coaching staff itself with these guys making more in the 6-figure range, that's an issue, just firing somebody if that's what the head coach wants.